Hello garden friends, welcome to my February backyard garden tour. My name is Liz, I garden in California Zone 9B, and this is my cute and colorful little backyard garden. You are about to discover that I have a lot of little vignettes in my garden. I call them little garden areas. This is my cottage garden. Because it's February, there's not a whole lot blooming, but in the stacked pots, I have some little violas. But if you notice all these larkspur seedlings, they're going to make beautiful little purple flowers. I got those cute little daisies at the Dollar Tree. This is my newest garden area. I call this my bird bath garden. And it's filled with little primroses to give this area color while there's not too much else going on. And I am planning on putting a little solar bubbler, little fountain in the center there just to help keep the mosquitoes away, because mosquitoes don't like water that is agitated. This is one of two vintage bathtubs I have. Can you believe I found this at a flea market for $50? I don't normally like to talk about money or prices, but anybody who knows anything about vintage bathtubs, you know that was a score. Growing inside here, I have some snapdragons, and they're just making all kinds of little buds. Those are going to be flowering soon. And I have some red cabbage. And in the center, I have Brussels sprouts, and it's making these florets. First time I've ever grown Brussels sprouts with any success. I'm hoping I get some vegetables, but we will see. And of course, I have more larkspur that I planted from seed on each side. Every year I grow larkspur, and then in the fall I just collect the seeds, and I scatter them everywhere in my garden. And they really took off here in this bathtub. And if you look below the bathtub, I have this weird structure that looks like a flower. That is actually a car shroud. It's just a car part. But I thought it looked like a flower, so I put it there. Or even the little petals of that kind of look like shovels. I just like it, and I'm kind of different and funky that way, so it makes my heart happy. So that's all that matters, right? Because we should always garden for ourselves and not necessarily to impress others. I call this area my iron plant stand. It's kind of like the centerpiece of my garden. And again, this is February. Normally I have creeping Jenny and Vinca minor trailing down here, and this will reach the bottom by summertime. And in these lower pots, I'm growing daffodils. They just came up. So this will look so beautiful in the springtime. And then when the daffodils are done blooming, I usually put Vinca down here just to add more color to my garden. I love growing things in containers more so than in the ground, because I feel like you have more control that way with watering and fertilizing. And this little area is called my bridge garden. My grandkids love playing on this. And notice the fun mirror trick. It looks like the creek is going around my house, but it's just a mirror. And when it rains and the rocks get wet, I think it looks even more beautiful. That vine right there is a pink jasmine. That will be blooming, I'm going to say, in another month or so. But the vine right up there, that's a lilac vine. And this is always the first one to bloom. Although I'm not sure this is the right area for this vine. It should have a lot more blossoms, and it probably isn't getting all the sun it needs. So I think I'm going to move that vine and put it over here in my bird bath garden, because even though you can't tell now, during the day this area does get a little bit more sun. And that's a wonderful thing about your garden. If you plant something and it just isn't working, just dig it up and move it somewhere else until you're happy and until the plant is happy. I have no problem doing that. I gave it its first year and I feel it could do better. So that's what I plan on doing this garden seasoning. I don't know why I said seasoning. I don't always speak right. You're going to discover that in my videos. I got these fun black chairs at the Tractor Supply. They're little bouncy chairs. And I love the way it adds seating to my garden without obstructing the view. They're not the focal point. If that makes sense. And in the back of my garden, I have 3 wooden raised boxes. In the first one, I have a fig tree, a Miss Figgy dwarf fig tree with some volunteer nasturtium growing behind it, more nasturtium in the second one, and it's growing all the way up the arbor, which is made from cattle panel. And here's the other vintage bathtub I was telling you about. Inside that, I'm growing a Proven Winners Super Tunia Vista bubblegum. I just cut it back in the fall and it's already growing back. And in the center is a citrus lantana, and that is the host plant to the Gulf fritillary butterfly. And there's more larkspur growing in the back of the tub with a beautiful yucca growing in that green pot. See how that just adds so much color to the garden without flowers? The leaves on that are just so beautiful, and it's so easy to take care of. And there is my beautiful bougainvillea. The colors on this are just so spectacular, and this was the best thing I ever grew in my garden. It bloomed for me all summer long, and there's already more growth on it. And over here I have a little geranium and a hollyhock. It makes beautiful magenta, dark magenta flowers. That should be blooming in another couple months. Behind that is a Kupfia, a firecracker plant, and that attracts hummingbirds. We have a red Russian kale right there and another one on this side. And that is my gilded sun yellow rose. I never pruned that this fall. And this is a cheap little bird bath I got at the big box store, but it attracts birds. And over there is my succulent propagation station where I grow succulents and cacti and I experiment. Succulents are so easy to propagate. And this area gets morning sun, so they seem to grow really well over here. And all the cute little bird houses and birds that I got at the thrift store. And one of my favorite plants of all is this trailing string of pickles. It makes these cute little yellow flowers that the pollinators love. They really grow well over here. When something works for me and is easy, I stick with it. And I want to show you this cute little cactus I just picked up at the Home Depot clearance rack. Do you know that this little flower is not fake? No, it's not plastic. That is a real flower. And how I know this is because my daughter grew this plant and hers had a whole bunch of little flowers. And she said, "Mom, that's not plastic. Don't remove it." So that's a real flower. And I used to think the same thing, that those were fake, but they're not. I've had these stacked tire planters in my garden for about 7 years now, but I'm finally going to remove them and place them with authentic Jack Daniel's whiskey barrels. I'm super excited. So that's going to be a new garden project in the works very soon. But for now, I have some miniature roses growing in this one, another miniature rose, and over there I have a Silver Falls dichondra, which never died in the winter. I am going to cut it back and just kind of rejuvenate it, but I can't believe how beautiful it looks. Good old California weather, that's for sure. But look at my friends, my beautiful Carolina jasmine is coming back. There are so many pretty little yellow buds on this. I absolutely love this vine. Now there is no fragrance, but when this is in full bloom, the beauty of this definitely makes up for the lack of smell. And over here is my children's fairy garden. I admit all the little stepping stones are faded because I did get them at the Dollar Tree after all, but that's okay. I'm going to replace them. They're only, like $1.50 each, or I might paint them myself. But this is a little area where I let my grandkids play with fairy garden toys. Because it gets pretty much mostly all shade, it's the perfect place to grow cyclamen and impatiens. And this is a carex grass. And over there is a Mahonia soft caress. It's not blooming. I'm not sure if it's going to do too well. I may not like this spot. I have another Mahonia soft caress behind my water fountain garden that is already putting out buds. So I'm thinking, yeah, you know, that's how things go. We give it a shot and we try it, and if it doesn't work, then we just move it. Below this white Natchez crepe myrtle tree are some lily turf. Those will be perking back up pretty soon. And my water fountain garden, this is a solar water fountain made out of resin, so it's very light. And growing up the arbor, I have 2 clematises. I know I didn't say that right, but you know what I mean. And those are already starting to flesh out with new green leaves. So I'm excited about that. The garden is starting to come alive. Here's a little backside view. Do you know I never even pruned that rose? The California weather was so mild this winter that I didn't even really need it. And my beautiful Gara is going to bloom soon as well. Oh, wait a minute. I already see a little flower. Wow, my first Gara flower. This is so, oh, my second Gara flower. Oh my goodness. Spring is definitely near. And that is my cute little succulent barrel that a friend made for me from I don't know if it was a whiskey barrel or some kind of drum. And I filled it with agaves and cactuses, you know, low maintenance things, but yet it brings so much color to the garden without flowers. And it even made little babies. So I can either spread those out or repot them in new pots. And I think that's a barrel cactus. But yeah, if you look at the back, see that spout or that plug? That kind of tells you this was some kind of a drum. And this little area in my garden, I call it my happy place. It's just my little patio area where I sit and pot plants. And in this vintage sink, I have a beautiful maidenhair fern, and I cut it all the way back every couple years, and it always regrows for me. I found that cute little stand in the gutter somebody was throwing away. I took it home and repainted it. Hey, wait a minute. All of my watering cans are missing. I think my grandkids were playing with those. But in here I have a hellebore, and that looks like it's getting ready to make new growth and hopefully make flowers very soon. License plates and more colored bottles. That's better. I know this might look like junk to a lot of people, but for me, everything in my garden has a place and has a purpose. And you know, when we garden, it really needs to be for our own hearts, and we shouldn't care what other people think. A lot of times people will plant things because it's like the popular thing on YouTube, and it may not be right for their garden area, or you want to try something but you're just not quite sure what other people will think. Or you know where I'm going with this. Our gardens are very personal to us, and we need to make ourselves happy, right? That's just how I feel. So I don't really care if people think it's junk. For me, it means something to me. It makes me happy. This is a pink cordyline, and there he goes. And I know the pink cordyline is eventually going to get really large, and when it does, I'll probably transplant it somewhere else. But until that happens, I think the cordyline makes a great thriller in a pot. You know, there's a thriller, a filler, and a spiller. So I use the cordyline as my thriller. And this is a backside view of my little cactus corner. I love all the colors. Look at the variation of the dark green and the light green. This year I'm really planting more color for foliage and depending less on flowers. This year I just really want to garden low maintenance and make things a lot easier for me at my ripe old age of 62. Yeah, my backyard garden is definitely my happy place. Everything is here that makes me happy, from the pets to the garden decor, all my funky yard sale finds and thrift store treasures. It's my happy place. And that's my garden in February. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a beautiful day in your garden too. Bye.